Okay. So we are just going to give everyone we'll give about a minute or two people to come in. I am here with Garonne today, and we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic around beauty and stress. And I thought I'd try something new today and have a little bit of music as we wait for people to start joining us. So we'll just give everyone about a minute or so to see. We are streaming today on multiple platforms. We are on YouTube as well as my page on Facebook. So if this is your first time, let us know, introduce yourself. For some reason, normally I'm able to stream on LinkedIn, but for some reason today it doesn't seem to be working and I'm not quite sure why. So I will definitely repost this on LinkedIn after we are done. I'll make sure I add this link to my LinkedIn page as well. So, all right, so we're gonna get started. And please introduce yourself if and when you join today at this moment, and let us know what city you're coming in, what city you are in and where you are at. And for those of you who will listen to this much later, this will be recorded. This will be recorded on YouTube as well as on Facebook. It will be available to you, so you can watch it at any time. And you can watch it through as a replay later on. And we totally appreciate it when you share with others in your network, and feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. And for us to continue to grow this channel and grow this community. So my name is Milka. I am your host. This is CARE, Coaches Against Racism and Exclusion. And our goal is to bring more Black voices, particularly more Black female voices, whether coaches or business owners, entrepreneurs, to the forefront. It's an opportunity for us to talk about our work that we do and how we are impacting our communities and how we are essentially self-empowering ourselves. We are empowering ourselves with the work that we do and the things that we're passionate about. And so today I'm really excited. We have Garonne, and Garonne and I, we go way back. We actually went to college together and we're good friends. And Garonne started a company several years ago, and she runs it, and it's a very exciting product company, and she's going to talk a bit about that and also her own journey and her perspective on beauty and stress. And so we're going to have an opportunity to learn a lot about her. And so what I'd love for everyone to do, I know that many of you will watch this as a replay. Feel free to comment in the comment section if you have any questions or if you want to know and get more information about her business and what it is that she does, or want to learn more from her. Feel free to reach out to her. As you can see, I have put in the comments section how to reach her and how to get into contact with her. So you should be able to do that. And without further ado, without further ado, Garonne, please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do, and why you're here today.
My name is Garonne. As Milka said, thank you, Milka, for having me. Really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to your viewership today. I'm Garonne. I am the owner of the Ronnie Shop, which is my company that I founded out of a personal need. It's a product company, as Milka introduced. It has hair care products, and I've recently expanded to have products that feed your skin and hair from the inside, in addition to the topical products that you would normally have. And I'm here today. I'm very happy to talk about a topic that's dear and near to me, how stress correlates to your beauty routine for your skin and your hair. And I think it's a very, very interesting topic in this time, because we're all going through some very stressful times. So we can just get the conversation started. And you can ask me more questions about the product if you're interested.
Awesome. All right, thank you, Garonne. And so normally, for those of you who watched some of these sessions before, you've been participating in this series this past year, what I like to do is take some time to talk with my guest speaker and just ask some questions. And then after that, if you have any questions or anything that you want to share, you can feel free to drop them in the comment section and let us know your thoughts. But generally, what we always find is helpful is just to get started just with a discussion. And so, Garonne, my first question to you is, as you've mentioned, you've had an opportunity these past years to really develop yourself as a professional and as a business owner and somebody in the beauty industry. As someone who has worked in the beauty industry, what impact do you see the pandemic is having on women right now? What are the biggest impacts you're seeing?
What I'm seeing, one of the first impact I'm seeing is the change in routine. Routine is so important to our balance as just people in general. And with the pandemic, there's been a huge change in routine for everyone, and especially for women. So you don't have the help that you used to have by having time outside of the home while your children are taken care of somewhere else at school while you work. So we are balancing work and home in the house, a lot of us. And that's going to take a big toll on your stress level. It's going to take a big toll on how you feel balanced, how you take time for yourself. We are also seeing a decrease in physical activity for most people. You don't notice it overnight, but pretty soon you start seeing that you're gaining weight because you're not walking as much, you're not moving as much. There is a lot of anxiety that comes with the uncertainty of the future. Any minute you sit, you can get an email saying schools are closing, or the little bit of freedom you had gotten is changing. Shutdowns. So everyone, I'm not saying it's just a woman issue, but it is happening, and it is impacting women a lot more because women usually are the ones who take care of the home. So there's been a lot of articles, you don't have to take my word for it, where some women have had to leave the workplace because it became too much. They had to leave work. They had to really quit their job so they could take care of the home. So the burden of logging on to those meetings at Zoom at work, responding to those emails while still making sure your kid is signed on to their online class and taking care of the home and planning things that need to happen in the home still fall on women. Yeah. So women are really, really feeling it this season.
Yeah, no, there definitely are so many articles and enough data out there that's affirming this, that women have been disproportionately impacted during this pandemic on multiple levels. And obviously, depending on your socioeconomic level and what level and how much you have in terms of resources, that is exacerbated even more, right? The impact of what is happening right now is really hurting us when we're taking on the brunt of it. Yeah. And also, I would add to that, elderly care, your aging parents, and often that falls to the women as well. In addition to childcare and the home and the work as well, we're carrying a lot right now.
Yeah, there's no time, and I don't want to speak in this in a vacuum. I just want to add, I am one of these women that I'm talking about. I have a 3-year-old. She's turning 4 in December, and she's online schooling, and I'm running a business, and it's just really, to be honest, some days I don't know how I do it. So I really feel, and I will just say caretakers in general are feeling it in this pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. And so, from your perspective, when you brought up as far as changing routine, people not having as much mobility, right? We're not exercising as much. And it could be you're still working out, you're exercising, but the fact that if you used to walk more and you're no longer walking as much, and I've seen that for myself, even though I exercise every day, I'm still at home, right? I'm still not, and I'll try to go for walks during the day, but the normal things you would do in a regular week, the routine that you would have of being out and about has been significantly reduced. So that is impacting our health and our fitness as well. So you mentioned that, as well as the anxiety-induced stress from the news or from everything that people are just dealing with. These are all things that are impacting us. And so given that, right, and let's talk about Black women specifically. So taking all of these things that are going on with the pandemic, as well as the chronic stress that many of us have been dealing with long before COVID. Can you talk a little bit about that, the role that chronic stress, in part due to a lot of systemic issues, socioeconomic issues in this country, how that's impacting our mind and our body.
Yes. I would just like to point out first and foremost that a lot of us Black women our entire life live under such amount of stress that we've accepted it as normal. So when you think about, you want to talk about stress and the pandemic, if you do some shadow work and sit and think, you realize you've just been living under stress as normal. So when you see Black women go to therapists and say, I feel like I'm being weak, I'm not being strong. What happened is you being strong was a stress response. You being always strong and independent and doing and taking and having this arm, like I can take care of my family, my elderly parents and everybody, and I got it done. Like Beyonce says, what is it? You have the babies and get back to business. That's a stress response. You're not supposed to have the baby and get back to business. You're supposed to have the baby and lay on your back, breastfeed your baby, and have help around to help you recover
and rest.
Okay. So I have seen in my neighborhood, I remember seeing a woman with a little baby that was 1 month old coming from the babysitter on her way from work. So then, okay, we won't get into too deep into that. What I'm saying is we've always been living under stress. So I think one message I want to put out today is for women, Black women, to really sit and think and do some shadow work and really understand the level of stress you've been living under.
So let me ask you a question. You mentioned shadow work a few times. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is that? What does that mean? Because some people don't know what shadow work means.
I'm sorry. So you can actually follow some psychologists on Instagram. You can do research on it. The holistic psychologist is a really good one that really helps with shadow work. It's really you asking yourself questions sometimes to really kind of understand, there are very pointed questions you ask yourself to really kind of understand the subconscious mindset that leads to a lot of things you do. So I'll give you an example. Like I constantly do that with myself now. So recently, I had to make appointments for my yearly physical. And now that I am over 40, I'm doing mammograms. It's a lot of tests. And the logistic of scheduling these appointments and the referrals, the different doctors, was getting a little complicated because of COVID. They didn't have appointments. I was getting frustrated, and I'm here managing my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And then I really, at some point, was going to give up and not make the appointment. And I asked myself, do I ever give up and not make an appointment when it's my daughter? Do I ever give up to make an appointment when it's my mom? Or it's my dad who's passed, who was going through chemo? And I asked myself, why is that? Like, why is it that I feel like it's okay for me to give up making these appointments for myself when everyone else, I am so it's like I have to do it. And it's really this servitude and altruistic thing that has overblown inside us, that we have gotten to be such the helpers that we don't help ourselves. So this is just an example of things. And I made my appointment.
And that's a great example. And that's a great story to share, because it's a reality. And something that, Black women, we seem to carry that as a badge, the warriors, the hard workers, the helpers, and the backbone. Those are all terminology that for too long there's been that expectation, both given the environment that we live in, as well as expectations that we've put on ourselves because of not feeling that we often get the support that we need. It's become this, unfortunately, this badge of honor that is very problematic. And to me, and we've talked about this, one of the manifestations of that is, when you add in other things like the food deserts, and you add many other people working multiple jobs, or having you add all of these things, and you get some level of self-neglect, and self-care is not as big of a priority. And then you get this obesity epidemic that is rampant amongst Black women, particularly when Black women who are professionals, and they do have the resources, but they may not have the time. So how do you actually start making the time for yourself? You've always been very healthy and fit. I've always appreciated that about you.
I'm lucky too. How
is that luck?
I feel like some of it is luck because I don't have to. I have, because I have had close friendship with women who battle weight. I noticed I usually have to do less to get in shape than, because bodies are different. So I don't want to put all of it on the fact that I do work out every day. I do work out, but I think I'm lucky in that sense. So, and I think women, and then as I'm getting older, I'm realizing it's not the same. But I want to answer the question you had. I think the first thing we have to do as women, stop glamorizing being a superwoman. Just stop right now. Let's put the cape down. Let's just not try to be superwoman. Like when the pandemic happened, I bet you there's so many who are like already Black women who are already strategizing. How is it that I'm gonna do it all? And like they take it on as a challenge. I'm gonna do it all. I'm gonna make sure my kid is learning well on online. I'm gonna make sure I do well at work. I'm gonna work out. You had the long list. I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna, during the pandemic, I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna have 7 streams of income. And do you know what most other women with means did? I'm going to hire a little counselor to come to my house and help my kid for 2-3 hours while I work. I am going to outsource laundry. So I think like and I've had conversation with many women, even the ones who have the money, okay? And just because we come from whatever, like you said, the systemic racism and then the environment, and then we get a little money, we get a job, doesn't mean that our mindset shift to start really thinking about setting up our lives to kind of give us a good, fulfilling life that we don't have to constantly be overstressing ourselves. So even the Black women who have money, it takes a real mindset shift to say, I am going to hire someone to clean my home because I can't do it all. So what we all need to do, and I'm still working on that as well, is to drop the armor. That's the number one thing. There is no prize for wearing yourself down.
Yeah.
There is no prize for not taking care of yourself. There is none. And to make sure like you understand, like really, really internalize that. And the other thing I'm going to say about that is, like you said, what can we do? You have to be ready for the fact that it's going to be uncomfortable the first time you choose yourself. It's going to be uncomfortable for you. It's going to be uncomfortable for everyone around you.
Let's talk about that, because I think that I'm really happy you brought this up, because the discomfort often will be internal. You may be feeling like you're not doing enough, or that you are not pushing yourself hard enough, and people might see you, particularly you're not as committed. And then the other side, it's those around you. It could be family members, it could be your own partner who's used to seeing you do it all and has that expectation. And all of a sudden, when you actually do put your foot down and say, no, I can't do everything. Like I need to be able to outsource getting the house clean or do outsourcing laundry. You may not get that support. What is your perspective on what can women do to navigate those types of conversations?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing I said is to know that it's going to be uncomfortable, because the conversation I've had with women, the moment it gets uncomfortable, they're like, it doesn't feel right. I feel guilty. That's not how I was raised. You have to just stop giving validity to that feeling and understand it's a response to what you've been accustomed to, and that you going into a new phase of your life. And to get there, you have to do it while it's uncomfortable until it starts being comfortable.
Yeah, so, it's in discomfort that growth happens.
Yeah, so that's what I would say about stress, and really managing like the stressful situation you will deal with when you make that decision. And then people will make you feel, and if you can't, and I think what I want to say, if you don't take care of yourself, you're not gonna be there to take care of the people around you. That's really your goal. So like, even like we go back to the example I have. I really want to raise my daughter. I really want to be healthy and raise her. I want to be there for her. So if I don't sit in that appointment and make that appointment, then I'm not going to be there. And sometimes it's her preventing me from making the appointment, because she's asking me, the moment she sees me doing something, she wants juice, she wants water, she wants, I need to wait. Mommy needs to do this.
Yeah. No, and that's great. And I think definitely keeping all of these things in mind. And if you could tell us, I think this is a great time as well to think about the fact that for a lot of women who are trying to do it all at once, sometimes you do need to step back. You need to take stock and look at the bigger picture of your life, and also take the long view, not just today, not just the present, but almost think 10, 20 years down the line, and work backwards and think about what are the things I need to start doing today to get me to that place, so that in 20 years I'm still healthy and vibrant and active and very much part of, you know, your children and your family's life. So tell us a little bit about your own journey and how you actually came to that place where you decided, you know, you wanted to go a different direction, and how you came to be where you are right now.
So my journey happened organically, out of a personal need. So you remember I had long, beautiful locks. And then, you know, my hair was a big deal to me, and it started breaking and thinning. And eventually I went to a dermatologist, and they diagnosed with scarring alopecia, which is basically a type of scarring that really renders you bald within a few years. That was back in 2012. So from that point on, I started, you know, looking into treatments, and then I used my background in chemical engineering. I started researching, and I created a product line to help my hair. Just really,
okay, so wait, hold on. You're saying this like it's the most normal thing. Most people don't, you know, when they have a problem, and I want you to really pay when they have a particular problem, you know, they don't decide, you know, I'm going to find my own solution by actually building a product line to solve my problem. Most people will go find they'll find treatments out there, but you did something different, and I want you to like really honor that, because that you went the extra mile. You decided that there was a need in the marketplace. And how did you come to that understanding that, okay, my solution is I need to build a business and create products to solve my problem?
So I kind of skipped some steps.
Yeah,
so
most people don't do that.
I know. So I made the oil. I started with the oil. I made it for myself because I was trying to my goal was to keep as much of my hair on my head so I could have a little style, you know, because I knew the prognosis was that I could lose all my hair, but I said, I'm going to maintain something, right? So I built the oil. I created the oil so I could really help my hair from completely falling off, because that was the prognosis. I was going to lose everything.
Yeah.
And because I'm a very open person, and
which is what, by the way, happened to Ayanna Presley lost all her hair. And just if you all don't know, Ayanna Presley is a senator in the state of Massachusetts. No, I'm sorry. She's a congresswoman in the state of Massachusetts. She's African American, and she was diagnosed with alopecia, I believe, a few years ago, and has lost all her hair and is bald, and has been so completely bald.
She has alopecia universalis, I believe. So there's different type of alopecia. The one she has, completely take all her hair off. I think she probably doesn't even have eyebrows anymore. Right. So immune response.
It's an autoimmune disease.
Autoimmune disease. So some women get that when they're pregnant and they completely lose all their hair. Sometimes it can happen to anyone. I have scarring alopecia, which is a different type of alopecia where your follicles scar over. So at the crown of my head where it started, there is still a little bit of scarring, and the scarring was spreading. And the fact that I can still have this is a victory, because it was a long time ago. So if you catch certain type of alopecia, if you catch it early and you go to a dermatologist, you can actually stop the progression and possibly reverse it. So it all depends on the stage and the type.
Okay, so let's fast forward a little bit to how you actually decided you wanted to start. What was your why for starting the Ronnie Shop?
Oh, wow. So like I said to you, I really shared my experience when I was working in corporate at that time. I shared my experience being diagnosed with alopecia with pretty much everyone who would listen. Just why did you cut your hair? And then I would just share it, because the thing is alopecia it's also a shameful thing to have. But I am blessed. Maybe I am that vessel that I am not ashamed of it. I talk about it. So by talking about it, I found out people I work with, friends, family, had the same type of alopecia. They didn't talk about it because they were wearing weaves or wigs, and they were braids, they were hiding it, so they never talk about it. So when I said, oh, I have this alopecia and this is my symptoms, I have tenderness and I have itchiness, it's falling off, this is the diagnosis, this is what the doctor gave me. Then through these conversations, I found out people were diagnosed.
There were more people who had it.
Yeah, they probably had it, they never were diagnosed, but whatever I was saying sounded familiar to them. Or they were diagnosed and then decided to not even they felt like it was hopeless. So because of that, I realized, number one, I can share my products with people if they are at the stage where it can help them. And two, I can also educate, because I feel like, one of the dermatologists I talk about how when white women lose one strand of hair, they run to the office with that one strand of hair in their hand and say, my God, I'm losing my hair. Let's do something about it. When Black women lose their hair, they keep it to themselves for a lot of reasons. Number one, we have a culture where we talk about you have to suffer to be beautiful. So from the time you're little, they braid your hair tight. They say people are taking Tylenol to braid their hair tight.
Yeah.
So when as a Black woman you lose your edges, you like it's part of the it's the cost of doing business, right? You braid your edges, it falls out, it grows back. So when you have a weave and your hair is thinning, or like a weave or a wig, something is like, or a headband, the clips, whatever it is, could be damaging your follicles. You discount it as part of doing business. You've gotten comfortable with traumatizing your scalp and that's why when I do my daughter's hair, I make sure if she has thick hair, I do it in a way to let her know that grooming her hair should not be a traumatic experience.
Right.
So I was saying basically it's like I felt like I needed to be that voice to educate Black women. When it hurts, take it out. When you see a bald spot, go to the dermatologist. They can save your hair. So I wanted that education. So my platform is two-piece. I want to make the product, but I also want to educate, because I feel like that education piece is really, really important.
So let's talk. You just brought up something that was really interesting. You mentioned the word trauma, right? And trauma can show up in so many different ways. There's trauma to the body, trauma to your psychological trauma, which is often, often we think about that. It's become more common to talk about psychological trauma. But now you're talking about a different kind of trauma, where it's more, I hate to say this, but it's more kind of like this self-inflicting pain on yourself for beauty, or the aspiration of a particular look, to look a particular way, right? You're willing to put that level of stress on yourself. And then the shame that comes with that. When you said that, I was like, that's really interesting. When you think about that, so you're the trauma of you get since you're very young, and very often you had nothing to do with that. It's imposed on you by your parents or whoever's doing your hair. Because I do remember stories, like painful stories when I was a kid, of either having my hair braided, I hated it, or having my hair, the hot comb, having it pressed, and my scalp getting burned. And these were all to look a particular way that society deemed more acceptable. As you can see, I don't do these things with my hair anymore as an adult, because I can do whatever I want. It's not being imposed on me, but as a child, it is. And so when you think about this idea of this imposition to look a particular way, and often it's to have more, it's more about our beauty standards for too long, trying to uphold European beauty standards, looking that particular way. But at the same time, the net effect, right, of this impact, it becomes negative when it's overdone, and then you have shame.
You have shame, exactly. You have shame because it's just so many things convoluted. I mean, we can
talk about this one.
Because I had a talk with Dr. Tutu where she said it comes from when you came off the boat and they told every Black woman to put a scarf around their head because their hair was ugly. So the whole Black women wearing scarves in the U.S. is not the same
heritage and pride. Yes,
Black women wearing adornments in our. So
it was to hide yourself.
There's covering your hair because you don't like how it looks, and there is I'm adorning with my hair. So that's another topic altogether. So so the shame that you get when you get older is basically because you're the one doing this to yourself. So you're losing your hair, you're exacerbating the condition by what you're doing, but then you're doing it because that's what everybody tell you that's how you have to look. So you have, I want to point out also, I would be remiss if I didn't say it. Alopecia has a lot of factors that you can get alopecia. Not all of it is self-inflicted. Sometimes it's a combination. So it's like scarring alopecia, for example. Yes, there is a genetic component. Yes, it could be inflammation in your body, but it can also be stressful, traumatic hairstyle practices. So you can
also chronic stress itself can trigger autoimmune diseases.
It's all interrelated. So let me quickly go over stress in the body. So stress can affect your breathing. It can affect your blood pressure. It can affect how your blood vessels dilate and constrict. Um, it can actually lead to anxiety, consistent anxiety in your body. So all these things can predispose you for chronic illnesses, can make it very hard for you to fight a cold, can make it very hard for you to be immune to getting viruses and getting sick. So when you stress, you're more likely to get sick, just even like in the winter's coming. So if you have a high stress level, if you're exposed to other elements, you can get sick quicker than if you weren't stressed. So there's a real physiological response to stress. Stress affects your bacteria. And as we know from research, that bacteria is the source of mental health, physical health, reproductive health, everything. So if I don't want to get too scientific,
Please do, because a lot of people don't know these things.
So stress really, it's not just like this thing. It's like stress has a real.
People think so. Yeah, often they think that stress is it's a self-care issue. I'm like, it's so much more than that.
I'm gonna lay the tub, and then I'm gonna light some candles. No, it's wreaking havoc on your organs.
Yeah.
Right now, it's predisposing you to a lot of chronic illnesses. So you have to always be mindful of that and know that it's something real. Yeah. So, and then even if you are for example, for a woman carrying a child, like if during your pregnancy you under a lot of stress, it does affect how the baby develop when they come outside of your womb. So everything that has to do with stress has a real. I want people to understand that. So back to what we're talking about, hair. So bring it back to beauty and hair. So stress can lead to hair loss. So some people really do experience extreme shedding when they go through stressful period, like a family member is sick, their child is sick, or they're sick themselves. Someone's stressing you at work, you see your hair shedding. So that's really, sometimes that's your body communicating to you. So anything that happens where you see your hair shedding and your skin, you having patchy, dry skin, sometimes it comes out as eczema. That's your body saying you're stressed. And you are very lucky to see it, because sometimes you may not have the hair loss or the patchy skin or dry skin, but then it's wreaking havoc internally where you cannot see it. So the way I see anything that comes out in the physical as a blessing, because it's a communication to you to do something right now, today.
I love that, because I would add acne to that as well, right? So when you see your face is breaking out, you're getting pimples or anything like that. I've noticed from me, the ways I've noticed when during very stressful periods, it's usually my face will break out, and normally my skin is very clear. But then that's usually the manifestation that I'm under extreme stress or extreme duress. That's or the hair shedding as well. But I never thought about it that way. That it's actually when I've always thought, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Like, this is the worst thing that could happen. But you're saying, no, it's actually better that you get that indication immediately, because you now know you need to dial back and you need to do more to take care of yourself before, it gets a lot more physically worse. It worsens inside your physiology.
Yes, I know so many people who went through stressful periods and then immediately after they became diabetic. So do you want that, or do you want the pimple?
I'll take the pimple.
Do you want the hair shedding that you can get it back? So I'm saying there's real response, and then some people have IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome. They can't digest their food. They have an heartburn and reflux. Do you want that, or do you want a big old pimple? Because that's what happened to me. I got a big old. I get pimples. I do get pimples from monthly hormonal issues. So it's but if I get a big one from stress, I'd rather that than a chronic issue or something else.
That's really insightful. I never thought about it that way. And the next time I have a pimple, I'll just consider it a blessing, I suppose. Yeah. All right. So so now we've talked about a lot of these stress factors. Let's shift gears and talk more about what can people do. what advice can you give people? Because I think sometimes people really get stuck a little too much on the take a bubble bath, light some candles, and they think that's all they need to do. What are concrete things, particularly Black women, can do to better cope with, first of all, the reality of always being under stress? And I think sometimes we may ignore that because it's become our reality. You know, when I talk to people sometimes about, needing to just wind down or go on retreats, it's, and not always be on the move and doing things that, that effectively takes its toll on you. There's always that, oh, I have so much to do. What can you tell, particularly women, Black women, to keep in mind for themselves, just to be more mindful? And even with the holidays coming around, a lot of eating, and what are your thoughts?
So you made me laugh when you said the bubble baths. I will get to the bubble baths at the end because they're nice. Yeah. I haven't done one, but
I need one.
I know, but I don't. That's not my self-care though. I'm gonna tell you what. So first thing for Black women is you have to, number one, choose you, and I will get into that. Choosing you means you have to understand that it will be uncomfortable to just really wake up every day and choose you. Choosing you can mean saying no to too many things on your plate, at home and at work. And then finding a way to say it so that you don't completely, I'm not saying like to really focus more on like how to say it. If you don't know how to say it yet, just say it. Just really save yourself. You can work on the diplomatic piece later to get better at that. But really, family members, partners, really making sure that you get comfortable with being uncomfortable, choosing yourself. So like Milka said, you have people running you down all day and you come home, you take a bubble bath. That's comical. Okay? They already ran you down all day. They blew up your phone, they messed you, they made you drop your stuff to go do their stuff. You could take all the bubble baths in the world. Okay? So first thing, choose you. So I wake up every day. I have my things I want to do. Someone calls me and say, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? No, like I can help you this way, I can help you that way, but not just really choosing what you set out to do for yourself for that day, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the number one thing I would say about self-care. Second, if you can afford it during this pandemic, get help. So I know everybody's afraid to like mingle with other people, but having someone come and clean, you can wear a mask, you can take your kids out and like go to the park. You don't have to interact with everyone who helps you. Like, so if you're afraid of like mingling with folks, you can get help if you can afford it. And you can ask for help from the people around you. Stop trying to act like it's okay. What is the quote? If you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So as I'm a Haitian woman, so I'm gonna talk on that, right? So in our culture, when you have a partner, and I'm not gonna generalize, you gotta kill me. They really think the housework is the woman's work. And the women, they in the kitchen mad washing the dishes. But they're like, why am I doing this myself? But they didn't say nothing. They're just doing it. They clean the house, they're banging things. And the man, you think he cares that you banging the dishes and no, he's glad you're washing them.
Yeah.
The best is to be like, oh baby, can you help me? Ask him to help. Yeah. Ask for help. They don't want to help. You don't want to ask. Ask for help. Ask the people around you to chime in. So, I mean, I am not currently
married. This is real. No, this is real because like I personally know somebody, a family member who recently had this problem, and they might be listening. I have no idea, but where, the wife did get help. She did reach out to get help, and the husband wasn't so happy about that. And so this is something culturally, this idea that women have to, I'm going to use a word that's actually I don't like it myself, but, What?
She hired help.
She hired help, so someone to come and clean the house, and he was mad. He was not happy about exactly. So it's this kind of ridiculous behavior, these expectations, and I'm like you are both Haitian, and it's something that culturally, you see these women, who particularly those who are married and they have households that they're managing, they take on so much, and the expectation is that it's normal, having a 9 to 5, doing all the housework, doing everything, like it's some sort of and then sometimes the partners will just get upset if they don't have nicely cooked meal done for them every single day. And we know our food takes forever to cook, culturally. Like, Haitian food takes a long time to make. It's not something you can whip up in 10-15 minutes. It just doesn't happen that way. So it's actually it's crazy.
So what I'm saying is, like, we are in, like, when this situation happened, the woman is in pain, but she's doing it through the pain, and think that the person, how could he not see that? No, ask for help. And I'm speaking generally. Ask for help and say what you will do and what you won't do. And just stand by that. And I feel like if you haven't been doing it, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to create problems in the beginning. But eventually you can make headway to be lighten the load. Like I said, if the world is running you down all day and you come home, you take a bath, like a bubble bath, you still be in stress. So that's the first thing I would say. Second is really to make time to exercise. So exercise helps release the stress hormone cortisol. Like, it helps really reduce the stress. It helps your body to cope better with having an exercise routine. So in this time, like right now, like for example, in New York, they're closing gyms at 10. If you don't want to go to the gym, I got a jump rope. Sometimes I just do jump rope. So I just give like real honest things that I'm doing to kind of really keep moving. So because I'm home with a kid all day, sometimes we take walks, sometimes we do a dance party. It helps both of us. I put the music and we dance, and I try to squeeze in exercise moves while we dance, because it gets her tired for bedtime and it gets me moving. It's not my usual CrossFit workout that I used to do. I remember. Yeah, like when I used to be lifting weights and
I remember,
It's not. But don't think about what your workout used to be so you don't do nothing now.
Yeah.
So like I said, I put the music on. She loves to dance, and we dance. Sometimes we do Kukua Fitness, which is a dance video on YouTube, channel YouTube. So like try to put in some exercise, walk, whatever you can. The other thing is diet. So
let's talk about that. Let's talk about diet. This is really important. Yeah.
So yeah, diet. You can actually make sure that you eat things that help your body to heal more, to help your immune system. Also, there are things that you can do, like herbal infusion, that can help reduce your stress. So for example, one of them that I am a big proponent of, ashwagandha root, that you can buy it wild crafted and organic online. You can make teas with it. I actually have it in the tea that I sell on my website.
What is it called?
Ashwagandha root.
Ashwagandha.
It's a root like that you actually can like infuse it and just like make an herbal infusion. There are a lot of like, you can do a lot of herbal teas that actually help to reduce your stress. You can find a lot of them online. I would say buy them from reputable places, like Mountain Rose Herb, for example, is a good place.
You have it, right? Your business. I bought your tea.
Yes. I do have a tea that I actually put a lot of different herbs that actually helps you reduce your stress level and help your skin and your hair. You can buy it. I'm just saying in general that you can actually do these things yourself. I would say if you are experiencing any kind of reaction, like skin and hair reaction from stress, you should see a dermatologist today. And I will cover a couple of things that can stop Black women from seeing dermatologists. Sometimes a lot of Black women go to dermatologists who are not really versed in skin of color, and they feel like the bedside manner is not the best, so they get discouraged. So there is a woman, a doctor, Dr. Tutu, who started Black Derm Directory. They're on Instagram as at Black Derm Directory. If you click on the link and put your zip code, you can find dermatologists in your area that specialize in skin of color, hair of color. So if you dealing with hair loss, these are usually Black women, Black men, or even if they're not Black, but their practice does center around really helping that demographic. So when you go, they understand what a weave is, they know what a braid is, they know how we do our hair and different things we do to our hair, so they can speak to what you're going through. They can help you find options. They can make you feel comfortable. So that's the place that you can find a dermatologist today. Like, get professional help, because sometimes just being able to diagnose what's happening with your skin and your hair is the first step to recovery.
Okay, so I actually added that in the ticker. You can see, you can look for Black Derm Directory on Instagram. I believe that's how you spell it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing we'll talk about, which is what we mentioned, having rituals. And that's when the bubble baths come in. But rituals in the sense like, there are things you do. Ritual is something you do every day, for example, that centers you and help you, make you feel like, okay, like I am in control of my life. So when you wake up, what do? You take some time to really pray or meditate if you have any kind of, if you are part of faith, a particular faith. You take some time to pray. You take some time to breathe and think about, what do I want to do with my day? You check in with yourself. Like, for example, when you meditate sometime, what's good about it, and I say meditate because I do meditate, is that you can check in with every part of your body.
Yeah.
And then you can have a pain in your back for weeks and not even notice it, because you go in like 50
Always
million
moving, yeah.
speed, and but then you have this thing, this nagging thing in your back that you never felt it because you never took time to sit still. So ritual is something you do every day where you check in with yourself, where you feel like you're doing something you like. It could be exercising. I think the camera went off for a minute. I don't know. Something happened. I noticed.
For me?
It went off from my end.
I can see you. Now. Yeah.
It's fine. So having ritual is important. And then I'm gonna speak to that. Like, having a ritual doesn't mean you become this perfect person. And I think sometimes on Instagram, and then we see the people, like, they post this picture of their home is spanking clean all the time, and they have the candle in the corner, and then that's not your life, because that's not the real life. Real life is like this morning. For me to do this live, I'll give you an example. For me to put on my makeup and do this live, guess what? Grace was wrecking all her toys, all her Tetris, her puzzles. She was playing with them so I could do this makeup. Once I was done, I grabbed her and took her to her godmother so I could have quiet space. So guess what? On the floor in front of me, we have Tetris pieces. So when I talk about rituals, and some days it may not happen the way you want. So for example, you can wake up today and then things are so crazy and you didn't get to do what you wanted to do, but you have it in your mind that you should check in with yourself. Try to keep your space uncluttered. And that's the part I talk about, the Tetris pieces on my floor. Keeping your space uncluttered as much as possible is a way to really establish some kind of peaceful aura around you that helps you to calm down. Being able to come back to something every day. So think about whatever that is for you that you can come back to every day, and then really try to incorporate that into your life.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan and proponent of rituals. And I've particularly this past year with being home, as a way to just, and I've noticed that from early in the morning, I love to pray, I do meditations, to at night, I'll have a glass of wine, in the evening. These are little things they're little, to me, I see them as like little things that you do, the times that you take to kind of check in. I love what you just said about checking in with yourself. To take a few minutes to just do a little bit of self-reflection, a little bit of like, just what how are things going with me physically? How are things in my mind? How are things spiritually? And what's happening in my life? Am I okay with how things are? And so that, things don't catch up with me, days or weeks or months later, right? So it's like keeping a constant pulse, taking a pulse of yourself on a regular basis and having a set time. I've noticed for me, it's made a huge difference in my life because it just keeps this peace of mind for me.
You look very peaceful right now.
I am. It's because I am. And it's really because I do these things, because I live alone and that has its own challenges, right? Because sometimes you can be like, I'm just talking to the walls. You have too much alone time.
You can drive yourself nuts. I've been
exactly. So having things that you do, and I feel like that's why some people look at me, they're like, you don't look like somebody who's going through the and part of it is I feel this past year I've really, don't get me wrong, I really need to go on a vacation, and I can't wait till the day we can all travel again. I think we all need to start thinking about dreaming.
Lined up.
Where do you want to go?
Where? I want to go to Bahamas again.
Ooh. See, I want to go further. I want to go to Tahiti. I want to go to the South Pacific.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow, that's a good one.
for a few
Yeah,
weeks.
the
Yes,
food is so good. I heard.
very healthy. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the dream. I'm already dreaming about that. It's something to look forward to. Making it out there for like a couple. Actually, when I go on vacation, I go for a few weeks. I don't do like 2 days.
As you should. I mean, you own your own business. You're not putting
Yeah,
PTO requests in.
yeah.
You like, I am out.
Awesome. Oh, we have a comment. Let me see what we have here. Okay. We have a Dorothy St. Pierre. She says, love this conversation. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Dorothy, for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, you can drop them in the comment section. We're about to wrap up. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes.
And Garonne, any final thoughts? You shared so much gems. And what I really appreciate about you is that I know you do these things, right? You're not just saying them. These are things that you actually do. And I've seen you do them consistently over the past few years. And so it's achievable. And I want other Black women to realize, you're a single mom, you have your own business, you're raising a child in New York. So there's a lot that you're dealing with, but you still manage to, I'm not saying that you're perfect in any way, but you manage to make your health and wellness a priority. And so that in itself, I think it makes you a really good role model for other women of how do you actually maintain that physical and psychological balance for yourself. So any final words you'd like to say to everyone before we sign off?
So final words I would say for Black women is that you have the power to really craft your own life. And you just have to choose today to choose you and really do the work to choose you every day. That's
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. Choosing you is not a selfish
Yeah.
decision. No, it's actually a self-love and decision, and one where the long term, everybody benefits from it. When you
Yes.
do put yourself first. But I think we have been raised to have this self-sacrifice mentality, and
Yes.
that mentality, unfortunately, in the expectations that we have socially, can be to our own detriment if we're not careful. So thank you for that. And so, yes, I agree. Put yourself first, choose you, because everybody benefits from that long term. And how can people reach you at the Ronnie Shop? What is the best way for them to get into contact with you?
You can get in contact with me at the Ronnie Shop Instagram. There's a phone number there. If you're more like a phone person, you can email me from there. You can DM me, or you can, if you want to purchase our products, you can go on www.theronnieshop.com, TheRonnieshop.com.
Yep, and you can also follow her on Instagram, and that should be, if you're on YouTube, as well as Facebook, it should be in the description how to follow her on Instagram. And one last thing I want to say, I actually use all of the Ronnie Shop's products. And actually I need to reorder soon because I run out, and I do see a difference actually when I use your products, particularly the conditioner, well, all of it, the conditioner and the shampoo versus store-bought products. My hair feels a lot softer with products from the Ronnie Shop. And I'm not just saying that to promote, but it's actually true. And I was thinking about that today, and I was like, oh, my hair feels drier than usual. And it's because I realized that like actually everything is finished and it's time for a reorder. So I highly endorse Garonne's products because they're really good. Like, they're very natural, and particularly I have natural hair. I've been wearing my hair natural for like well over almost a decade now, if not longer.
I don't remember you. I don't remember you with any other hair but
Since
your natural.
college, and after college, actually. Yeah, since
Yeah.
I had different hairstyles in college. I had braids. I had a perm at one point. I hated it, and so I have to say, and I've tried a lot of different types of natural hair care products. I think yours is one of the better ones, and it's because and my hair is normally, I've noticed, depending on the product, some products dry out my hair a lot more than others. But I've noticed when I've used yours consistently, my hair is softer, particularly the conditioner. So I am planning on ordering today because it's all done.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That is it for today. It's a wrap. Thank you, Garonne. You know how to reach her. You can check her out on her website. You can buy her products directly, as well as you can follow her on Instagram. And stay tuned. We will be again streaming next Saturday. We will have Manushka, who is quite the makeup artist, and she will be joining us, and she will be doing a demo with a model. Follow her on, you can follow me through this YouTube, through my YouTube channel, as well as on Facebook. And I will be sharing more about our next speaker, Manushka, who will be talking to us about like good ways to do makeup now, especially if you're doing a lot of Zoom calls and these types of virtual recorded sessions, like great tips and strategies to do makeup. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So be with us next Saturday, everyone, at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to be talking about all things makeup. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Garonne, I will see you in a bit.